All right. Onward we go to the Redlegs. Let's start around the room. Elliot, I'll begin with you. Please tell me your thoughts of the Redlegs and their 2 moves.
Yeah, I think both of them are very good. I requested that the Reds get a couple relievers to bolster the bullpen, and that's what they've done here. I think Nick Martinez is going to be probably a 5th starter. He's going to Reed told me before he's going to go back and forth. I mean, it depends. I think they're going to go out and get another starter anyway. But as of this moment, I believe he'll at least start the year off as a starter, and we'll go from there. I think the bullpen's damn good as of right now. I think Pagan's damn good. So these are very good moves. This is a very good start from Nick Krall and the Reds. I didn't expect it, if I'm going to be honest. I didn't have a lot of hope that Nick Krall was going to go out and do this. I was proven wrong. I think both of them are decent contracts. Nick Martinez has the opt-out, which usually they always take that, but to each their own this year. We're going to be good. I think they're going to go out and get one more starter, and I think they're going to get one more right-handed bat. I don't know where, but I think it's going to be an outfielder right-handed bat. But this is a damn good start for the Cincinnati Reds.
As a Cubby fan, a little concerned?
Hell no, Tom. Come on, get out of here. I will say this. Nick Martinez hasn't started more than 10 games since 2017 before he went to Japan and stuff like that. He started 10 games each of the last 2 years. But if you look at it just what you got on paper, right? You get Nick Martinez for $14 million. You get Emilio Pagan for $6 million a year. That's $20 million tied up into production that was around 180, 190 innings. That's a good starting pitch.
Yes.
Like if you just want to extrapolate innings pitched and what you get out of 2 guys, you're paying $20 million for 2 very productive arms that are going to get you about 180 innings, 190 innings right then and there. So yeah, that's a very good signing. When you had the pitching troubles that the Reds had all last year, these are 2 great arms to help bolster that and just get them towards the end of the year. And I think the good thing about Nick Martinez is I don't believe at this very moment that he's going to be a permanent fixture in the rotation. But when inevitably one of the young guys go down, it's a long season, an arm's going to go down. This is where Nick Martinez can come in and he can fill a role and, throw 4 innings, 5 innings, and you get a productive arm out of it. So, yeah.
Trace, you're the co-host of one of the most popular baseball shows there is out there.
I don't know what that's Nick Kirby.
You are the co-host with Nick Kirby, who will be in studio, by the way, tomorrow. We're excited about
Reds
that.
Fest right around the corner. Reds Fest tomorrow. I don't want to sound like I like keeping it real, right? Like these moves are good moves. These moves aren't like, oh my God, like let's get fired up and go down to Reds Fest. Like we're back, baby. I'm not trying to take away any optimism from people that want to feel that way. The Pagan kid, and for all intents and purposes, he's Derek Law-ish. I know you might not like to hear that, but that's kind of the way I would perceive it to be.
Explain that. Yeah, explain.
Well, I mean, Derek Law was a very serviceable arm last year. I wouldn't say he was high leverage a whole lot. He was high leverage when they had to make him high leverage, but he's not a guy that you're bringing out of the bullpen when you have a plethora of options. You're not picking him relatively first, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I would say he's actually less down the middle to the bottom of the pack when it comes to serviceable arms and high leverage situations. That's what he is. It's a good signing. I'm not here to downplay it by any means, but for those that think that this is a huge deal, I would just tell you that the Minnesota Twins last year played in a wild card round, a best-of-3 series. They used 5 relievers, and he was not one of them in the entire series. Yep. He did throw 2 scoreless innings against the Astros the very next series, so I'm not downplaying it. But again, and I don't know who's really getting out there and saying, oh, if you're excited for a guy like Sam Moll to come in, you should also be excited for a guy like Pagan to come in. But again, aren't Alexis Diaz walking through the door, and I don't think anyone's saying that. The other side of the aisle with Martinez is a little more interesting because I think that Nick Krall even said a few weeks ago, Tom, that they were looking for guys that could maybe swing. They could be starters at times, but they also could eat up innings in the bullpen, and that's exactly what he is, right? And I think that that's something to get a little excited about because we need depth. We don't know what we have in the starting rotation. Yes, we can sit here and name all the names, and we've done it 1,000 times. Go ahead, list all 7 of them, and who's going to get a spot in the starting rotation? Well, it's going to sort itself out. I hope Nick Lodolo figures it out, but they've even said, Nick Lodolo's even admitted that he's frustrated that it's taking longer than he wanted it to be. He's hoping to be ready by spring training. I mean, he's hoping to be ready by spring training is not a very, that's not something that I'm
Nope.
getting excited about. So it's nice to know, like Reed said, if a guy gets hurt, this guy can throw 4 innings to start a game. He could even be like a guy that comes in after an opener. Perhaps you throw a guy for an inning, he goes 4 or 5 innings. But if Tyler Glasnow gets signed, then like, hey, let's all pack our bags up, go down to Reds Fest and get really fired up about it. That's kind of my point.
For me, just from a standpoint, because we all know I'm not the baseball expert here in this room, but from a roster construction standpoint, when you look across the teams in many different leagues, they said, yeah, our bullpen was good. Let's make it a strength now. Let's go add to it and make it a true top of the line, top depth in the league. And that's what they did. And I love moves like that across all different leagues. So I think it's a great move. The 2 moves that they made for bullpen guys, one that could potentially swing, like Trey said, that's great. Those are great moves for the Reds.
That's a great point, Casey. I mean, it's a phenomenal point because that's exactly what they've done. They've gone out and they have improved an area of their team, which, let's face it, when the season started last year, the bullpen looked like it was going to be awful. And it became a major strength, really, at the end of the day for this team. Now you're looking to turn it into a completely shut-down bullpen. That's what your goal is. Now, the one thing we've all learned about, bullpens, if you're watching up baseball, is, man, you really, at the end of the day, and this is every team, this is not the Reds, it's everybody. You are rolling the dice and hoping that guys like, and we joke around a lot about it, okay? But like Sam Moll, he came over last year, right? This guy's been around a while. He's had some good times and not so good times. He threw the ball well when he came to the Reds. Ian Gibaut, Ian is what he is. Last year, he took the ball all the time, and by and large, he pitched great. Last year you tried the Ben Lively's and the Buck Farmers and those kinds of guys. Well, now you're plugging those holes with potentially Martinez and certainly Pagan. And you're banking on your closer being great again. So, the bullpen is always, in my opinion, always has been the biggest roll of the dice for every team when a season begins. You can think, man, we got a terrible bullpen. And I think all of us thought the Reds had a terrible bullpen going into last year, and they proved it for about a month. And then all of a sudden, they were lights out. And then you can think you got a great bullpen going in the year, and this guy's not quite, that guy's not quite the same. And, and the next thing you know, you're scrambling around. Here's the only issue I have, and I brought it up yesterday. I am all in on them making these moves. I didn't see it coming. Nick Krall's on his game. We're big fans of Nick Krall on this program. Huge, that's right. Big fans. As a guy and as a general manager. But here's my thing. That until they show me otherwise, here's my problem. We brought up with Marty Brennaman yesterday. Okay? Pagan's a reliever, put him in a bullpen. Martinez is a guy who, up until, many of you know his story, you've read about it, but if you don't know it, he was a starter for the Texas Rangers for 4 years. Okay? He was, some good, not so good. Nobody else wants him. He goes to Japan, and he learns how to throw this, they call it a Vulcan changeup, right? Yeah. You get it like that, I guess is how you hold it, right?
Star Trek.
Okay, right. And so he goes over there, he learns this pitch, and all of a sudden, he is dealing over there in Japan. Padres think, you know what? 30-year-old, 31-year-old guy, let's give him a chance. Let's bring him in here, or whatever he was, maybe late 20s. And they bring him in last year. Most of his starts came early in the season. He made a couple late. He made 9 starts total at an ERA of 2.4. The rest of the time, he pitched very well out of the bullpen. There is no doubt Martinez wants to be a starter. And he thinks his best chances of being a starter, getting a chance to start, are right here in Cincinnati. The problem with Martinez is if you're counting on him being a starter, and we don't know. I think he's going to go to spring training with a chance to win a job. You see who's healthy, who's not. I think you pointed out Lodolo. Boy, and I tell you, after listening to an interview with him, it had me very concerned. Just the way he's talking. That this guy might be ready when spring training starts, as you just said, Trace. But that's for another discussion. But again, here's my problem. We live in a day and age where everybody is bought into, and Tom Verducci's the guy who gets credit for this and research with Tommy John and all this kind of thing. And when you bring a guy back, or you have a young starting pitcher, you only want to increase their workload from an inning standpoint anywhere from 10 to 15% from the year before. They have stretched this. They proved it last year with Andrew Abbott, and he proved why you don't. I'm not suggesting they should baby these guys because that's what it's turned into, and David Bell is the ultimate Captain Hook. But you basically have a staff as it stands right now. And again, good for them for these moves. It's awesome. They're spending money. They're going out and try to build a better team. But they have an entire rotation as we sit here today. And it's why I would have nothing to do with Tyler Glasnow. I would have nothing to do with him because he would fill the same criteria which I'm about to say. You have an entire starting rotation full of guys who are going to be on an innings limit count for this season because not a single one of them, outside of Brandon Williamson, not a single one of them did not spend time on the injured list. Lodolo basically missed the whole year. Hunter Green basically missed half the year. Andrew Abbott, he was done. He was done. They tried to push it. Ashcraft, 2 years in a row, injured list. Shut her down. And now Martinez pitched 120 innings last year. The most you're going to get out of him probably this year, 165, maybe. I don't know. But that's my only concern. You can't have starting pitchers. If you're going to win, you can't have starting. You can say, well, that's the way the game has changed. The game has changed. But go out and look at the teams who were playing deep into October this year or early November. Most of them had at least 2 or 3 guys that you could count on giving you 6 or 7.